Close your eyes for just a moment. Before you read another word, I want you to ask yourself something most people never dare to ask. Have you ever walked through life feeling like you were moving at a different rhythm than everyone else? While the world around you chased the glow of success, the applause of achievement, the approval of social status, some quiet part of you turned inward instead, toward your own depths, without you even realizing it was happening. And maybe that is exactly why, even surrounded by the people you love most, in a room full of laughter, you have felt a strange, invisible solitude, as if you were carrying a depth no one else could see, no one else could touch. If that feeling has ever lived inside you, then what you are about to discover will change the way you see your own story. Stay until the very end, because by the time this journey closes, you will not be able to look at your own life the same way again. Today, we step away from the noise of the modern world and descend into the depths of the soul, guided by the wisdom of CarlJung. Where does your spiritual maturity stand right now? Is the sage within you beginning to awaken? These 10 signs will help you find the answer. They are not a finish line in some invisible race. They are proof. Proof that you are moving in the right direction. Proof of how deep you have already gone in your own process of individuation. If you are ready, let's walk this deeply personal path together. Because by the end, you may look at your own story through an entirely different lens. The first sign is making peace with solitude and discovering the power of inner dialogue. Let's begin with one of the most visible and most misunderstood signs of spiritual maturity. Making peace with being alone. No, this does not mean withdrawing from social life, locking yourself away in a cabin in the mountains, or resenting other people. It means the exact opposite. It is the ability to enjoy your own presence, to feel whole and complete within yourself, without needing constant validation from the outside world. Modern society constantly whispers the same message to us. Stay busy, socialize, connect, share, be visible. Let snorts your phone keep ringing. Let your inbox stay full. Let your calendar overflow with appointments. Being alone is framed as a deficiency, almost a failure. But for someone walking the path of spiritual maturity, solitude, chosen solitude, is not a punishment. It is a gift, not an escape, but an encounter. And who is that encounter with? It is with your truest self, with the voices you've silenced, with your dreams, and with your fears. CarlJung described the human psyche as a layered structure. On the outermost layer sits the mask we present to the world, the persona, the identity society expects from us, the one we offer in return. But beneath the persona lies a far more complex, far more real world. And it is in the silence of being alone that the persona quietly steps aside, allowing you to come face to face with what lies underneath. At first, this can feel frightening, because in that silence there isn't only peace. Whispers rise up from the depths of the subconscious, anxieties, unfinished business, things you never resolved. This is exactly why most people run from silence. They chase noise instead. Television, social media, endless conversation, because facing the voice within terrifies them. But you, walking the road of spiritual maturity, no longer fear that silence. You see it not as an enemy, but as a teacher. Drinking coffee alone, taking a long walk, simply watching the world through a window. In these moments, you learn to listen to the dialogue spinning quietly inside your own mind. This is the most critical step of what Jung called the process of individuation, that long, demanding road toward wholeness. Individuation means realizing your full inner potential, integrating your fragmented parts, and ultimately becoming who you truly are. This process doesn't happen in the outer world. It happens in the laboratory of your inner world. And the door to that laboratory is solitude. There, stripped of expectations, roles, and masks, you exist in your purest form. You ask yourself the real questions. What do I actually want? Where does this fear come from? What gives my life meaning? The answers to these questions are never found in a friend's advice or a motivational speech. Live in the depths of your own inner silence. So, tell me, what do you hear when you're alone with yourself? What does that silence whisper to you? Do you run from it? Or have you learned to listen? If this truth is landing somewhere deep in you right now, drop 11. The silence within me is not empty. It is where my own voice finally speaks. And I am the only one who controls it. The second sign is seeking approval from your inner world, not the outer one. Think back. Did you buy that dress because you truly loved it? Or because your friends said it looked good on you? Did you accept that job offer because it lit a fire of passion inside you? Or because of the prestige it carried in other people's eyes? Answering these questions, honestly, is one of the most powerful mirrors for seeing where you stand on this journey. Because the second great sign is turning the search for approval from outward to inward. Stopping the act of filling your sails with someone else's wind and starting your own inner engine. CarlJung called the face we show the world, that social mask, the persona. The persona is necessary, even vital for survival, for fitting into society, for forming relationships. There is nothing wrong with this. The problem begins when the mask fuses with the face beneath it, when we become so deceived by it that we forget who is underneath. That is when life turns into an endless chase for applause and approval. Other people's expectations replace our true desires. And no matter how much we win in that race, the emptiness inside never fills, because a victory measured by someone else's yardstick can never satisfy the soul. As spiritual maturity awakens, something inside you begins to shift. At first, it arrives like an uncomfortable whisper. Is this really me? Is this really my life? This is the call of individuation, the journey toward your real self. Music. Once you hear that call, the loud applause of the outer world loses its pull, and you begin chasing the one true approval that comes only from within. Now, before making a decision, you ask yourself, does this align with my values? Does this choice nourish my soul? This is one of the clearest reflections of self-awareness, because your reference point is no longer the thousands of unreliable voices outside you. It is the single, steady, wise voice within. So, what is your inner compass pointing toward today? And what outside approval are you willing to sacrifice to follow it? The third sign is understanding and managing where your emotional reactions truly come from. Imagine receiving a critical comment in a meeting or a small misunderstanding with someone you love. Do you immediately go on the defensive, get angry, withdraw into yourself, or do you stay calm and try to understand the situation? From the outside, this looks like a simple reaction, but for someone walking the path of spiritual maturity, it is a key to decoding your own psychological map. This is the third sign. Understanding that your emotional reactions are never just surface noise, and learning to manage the deeper mechanisms underneath them. The modern world constantly teaches us to suppress or paper over our emotions. Be strong. Don't be sad. Society encourages us to ignore uncomfortable feelings or escape into things that offer momentary relief. But Jung points us toward a different path. He believed spiritual growth only becomes possible when we confront our own shadow self. So, what is the shadow? It is the sum of everything you've repressed, everything you deny, but which still belongs to you. Your anger, your jealousy, your fears, but also the reservoir of your suppressed potential, your creativity, your untamed self. Everything society and your own conscious mind deems unacceptable gets pushed into the shadow. As you step into spiritual maturity, you stop running from these reactions. Instead of treating them as enemies, you receive them as music, important messages from within. If a small criticism triggers an unusually powerful wave of anger or shame, you pause and ask, why did this trigger me so deeply? Did it touch an old wound? A place where I once felt not good enough? This is shadow work in action. So, tell me, which emotion's origin are you curious about today? And what is it trying to tell you? If you've ever felt an emotion far bigger than the moment deserved, comment 444. I see my shadow without fear, and I transform it into the wisdom that was always meant to be mine. The fourth sign is accepting that everyone is walking their own journey. Think of the people you care about most. Your partner, your family, your closest friends. You love them deeply, don't you? But are there things about them you wish were different? This is one of the most exhausting human impulses, the urge to fix others, to shape them into our own version of right. But for a soul walking towards spiritual maturity, the fourth sign replaces this impulse with deep acceptance. Every soul on this earth has its own unique journey, its own lessons to learn. Jung's process of individuation is universal, true for all of humanity. Your path, my path, your friend's path, all lead toward the same destination: self-realization through entirely different terrain. As you mature spiritually, you feel this in the depths of your heart. Music. And the urge to interfere in other people's lives begins to fade. Because what is right for you may be the greatest wrong for someone else. This acceptance does not mean growing indifferent toward the people you love. It is the purest form of love you can offer them, accepting them exactly as they are, flaws and strengths together. You stop trying to solve their problems for them because those problems are the very lessons their soul needs to grow. Just as helping a butterfly break out of its cocoon too soon leaves its wings too weak to fly, solving it for them steals their chance to grow. If music you carry this sign, you stop judging. When a friend repeats the same mistake, you become curious about what that cycle is trying to teach them. This isn't indifference, it is music, deep empathy. And it brings an extraordinary inner peace because you are finally free from the exhausting effort of trying to control others. So tell me, is there someone in your life you keep trying to fix? How would it feel to finally accept them as music, an independent soul walking their own path? The fifth sign is discovering that meaning lives beyond materialism. Think about the definition of success. Music society has handed you a bigger house, a newer car, a closet full of branded clothes, photos from exotic vacations. Our culture has made happiness almost synonymous with accumulating and consuming material things. And most people never question it, sacrificing their health and inner peace to reach these goals. But for you, walking the path of spiritual maturity, this equation starts to lose its old power. The fifth sign is realizing that true meaning lives not in what you have, but in what you are. Maybe you finally got that promotion, bought that house. At first, you felt a rush of triumph, music, but then, surprisingly fast, that feeling faded, replaced by a familiar emptiness. Is this really it? You ask music yourself. This is the exact moment your soul sends you a message. You're searching in the wrong place. Jung believed the human soul is engaged in a fundamental search for meaning, and that meaning cannot be bought. It grows from within. As you mature spiritually, you begin to see materialism as a glittering distraction, pulling you away from your real passions. The momentary happiness of a new purchase only numbs the deeper emptiness temporarily. Music. And once the numbness fades, the feeling returns, often stronger. This doesn't mean rejecting a comfortable life. It means you stop defining your worth through the things you own and start measuring success by the meaning you bring into your life, the relationships you build, your own inner growth. So, tell me, where are you finding the most meaning these days? In what you have or in who you are becoming? The sixth sign is moving beyond black and music, white thinking, and embracing every shade of gray. Our world insists we choose between opposing categories: music, right or wrong, successful or a failure. This dualistic lens is a primitive mechanism our minds use to simplify a complicated world. But as you walk the path of spiritual maturity, you begin to see that life is far too rich, too paradoxical to fit inside those simple boxes. The sixth sign is liberating yourself from black and white thinking and embracing the infinite shades of gray, even the paradoxes where opposites coexist. Carl Jung believed the human soul is, at its core, music, a union of opposites. He called this enantiodromia, the tendency for everything to eventually turn into its own opposite. There is no light without shadow. A spiritually immature mind sees these opposites as enemies at war, denying its own fragile sides, dividing the world sharply into good people and bad music people. This mindset keeps a person locked in constant judgment both of themselves, music, and of the world. But once you reach deeper spiritual maturity, you see the pointlessness of that war. Opposites are two faces of the same coin, completing each other rather than music competing. You stop trying to destroy the fear inside you because your courage only has meaning because that fear exists. You stop feeling ashamed of your failures, accepting them as your wisest teachers instead. This is another layer of shadow work, discovering that the traits you've labeled as darkness can actually serve you. The anger you've suppressed might be the healthy energy you need to protect your boundaries. You no longer deny these parts of yourself nor surrender to them blindly. You recognize them and consciously weave them into your life. So tell me, which two opposing forces inside you could you bring into harmony today? The seventh sign is taking full responsibility for your life and letting go of the blame game. As children, when we fell and cried, we instinctively looked for someone to blame. This is the most primitive way of avoiding responsibility, of externalizing pain, and many of us carry this same habit straight into adulthood, blaming our boss, our partner, our family, even fate for our disappointments. This blame game offers temporary relief because it lifts the weight off our own shoulders, but that relief comes with a steep price: power. You hand your own power to someone else with your own two hands and slip into the role of victim. Yet the seventh and perhaps most revolutionary sign of spiritual maturity is refusing to play that game, taking full responsibility for your life. This doesn't mean every bad thing that happens is your fault. There are things outside our control. Taking responsibility means understanding that even when you can't control what happens, you can fully control your response to it. This is one of the cornerstones of Jung's philosophy of individuation. He believed everything hidden in our unconscious music eventually reflects back into our lives as events. He called this music fate, but the moment something becomes conscious, it stops being fate. Music, it becomes a choice. You become an active creator, transforming events into material for your own growth. Is there a problem in your relationship? Instead of thinking, "They don't understand me," you ask, "What can I do to express myself more clearly?" Do you feel undervalued at work? Instead of complaining your boss doesn't see you, you ask, "What skills can I sharpen?" Or is this simply not the right environment for my growth anymore? This is a moment of tremendous empowerment, because when you blame someone else, you place the key to your own solution in their pocket. When you take responsibility, that key stays in your hand. So tell me, is there an area of your life where you keep handing responsibility to someone else? And what is the smallest step you could take today to take your power back? If you're ready to take your power back starting today, write 520. I am the author of my own life, and I alone hold the pen that writes what happens next. The eighth sign is learning to trust your intuition, music, and listen to your inner wisdom. Modern education and society push us to identify almost entirely with our rational, analytical, logical mind. Make a plan, analyze, music it. Build lists. Weigh the pros and cons. These skills are, of course, essential for moving forward in life. But on the path of spiritual maturity, music, they represent only the visible tip of the iceberg. The eighth sign is learning to trust the massive, wise part of the iceberg hidden beneath the surface. Your intuition, your inner voice, that sense of knowing music that lies beyond logic. This isn't about throwing your mind aside. It's about stepping into a more whole way of existing, where mind and heart, logic and intuition walk hand in hand. One of Jung's greatest contributions to psychology came from his exploration of the depths music of the unconscious. To him, the unconscious wasn't simply a storage bin for repressed desires and fears. It was also an enormous well of wisdom, creativity, music, and guidance. Intuition, in Jung's view, is our ability to perceive messages rising up from that deep well of knowledge. Messages our conscious mind can't immediately access. Sometimes it's an unexplainable unease, a sense that something is wrong about a job offer with no logical reason behind it, or an instant music, unexplainable trust in someone you just met. At first, you try to ignore these feelings, to explain them away with logic. Don't be ridiculous. This is a great opportunity. Or, you're just being paranoid. You tell yourself, silencing that wise inner voice. But as you grow spiritually, you start to notice how often you've paid the price for silencing it. You remember the wrong paths you took, the wrong people you trusted, the decisions that never matched your soul, all because you ignored your intuition. Slowly, you start listening more closely. You stop seeing it as an enemy or an illusion and start seeing it as your most trustworthy advisor, your inner compass. This takes courage because music trusting your intuition sometimes means going against social norms, against other people's expectations, even against your own rational mind's objections. When everyone says yes, but your soul says no, following that inner voice takes real bravery. So, tell me, what is your own quiet, wise voice trying to tell you today? In what area of your life are you being nudged to move beyond logic and trust your feelings instead? And what would it take for you to finally listen? The ninth sign is understanding that pain and hardship are teachers. Music. There is one unavoidable truth about life: pain, heartbreak, loss, disappointment, music, illness. Modern culture urges us to flee from pain like it's a plague, to numb it, to ignore music it, to get over it as quickly as possible. Suffering is framed as weakness, as failure. So, we sweep it under the rug, cover it with a layer of false positivity, put on our everything is fine mask, and keep moving. But perhaps the deepest, most transformative sign of spiritual maturity is completely changing your relationship with pain. The ninth sign is realizing that pain, music, is not a punishment, not a meaningless misfortune, but one of the most powerful catalysts, one of the wisest teachers, music, for the growth, deepening, and transformation of the soul. Jung believed that pain and even neurosis were the unconscious soul's way of demanding attention for a part of itself that had been ignored or repressed. To him, symptoms weren't enemies, music to be cured. They were signposts saying, "You're going the wrong way." Music, look here. A wound, he said, is where the light enters you. In Jung's own famous words, the gold is found in the darkest place. As you walk further on this path, you start to notice that your most difficult seasons, your deepest pains, also hold within them your music greatest moments of growth and awakening. That painful breakup taught you the value of self-love and self-sufficiency. That failed business venture showed you resilience and what real passion actually feels like. That serious illness reminded you how precious life truly is, how much every single moment matters. With this understanding, you stop asking, "Why me?" That is the question of a victim's mind. Instead, music, you start asking the question of a wise student. What is this situation trying to teach me? What gift, what lesson is hidden inside this pain? How can this experience make me stronger, more compassionate, wiser? This small shift in perspective is, in truth, a revolutionary mental transformation. It turns you from a passive victim of events into an active alchemist, consciously creating meaning from your own experience. Just as in music, alchemist transforms worthless lead into gold, you learn the art of transforming pain into wisdom and soul. The 10th sign is feeling that everything is connected. Music. We've arrived at the final stop on our journey, perhaps the most subtle, the most all-encompassing sign of all. Everything we've discussed so far, making peace with solitude, seeking inner approval, understanding your emotions, accepting others, moving beyond materialism, integrating opposites, taking responsibility, trusting intuition, transforming pain into music wisdom. All of these paths eventually lead to one single vast ocean. The 10th sign is becoming aware of that ocean. It is feeling deeply and unmistakably the dissolving of the sharp line between self, music, and other, between you and the world. The realization that everything and everyone is connected by invisible threads. It is stepping beyond individual consciousness and into the consciousness of unity. If you feel, even for a moment, that everything truly is connected, comment 777. I am one with the great unfolding of life, and through me, the whole moves forward. Music. Jung carried this profound sense of connection into psychology through his concept of the collective unconscious. Beneath our personal unconscious, he said, lies a much deeper layer, one shared by all of humanity, holding common memories, symbols, and archetypes, the heroes in our myths, the wise old figures in spiritual maturity. Isn't reaching the top of a mountain and staying there forever. It is having the courage and the wisdom to keep walking that mountain through every kind of weather life sends your way. So now, music, it's your turn. Which sign echoed the loudest inside you? Where do you feel you stand on your own journey right now? Don't hesitate to share your experiences, your thoughts, your feelings in the comments below with us and with everyone else walking this same path. This is a safe space where we inspire each other, learn from each other, and remember that none of us are walking alone. Music. And before you go, remember this. You are the center of your own universe. You are the artist of your own soul, your own life. The brush, the canvas, they have always been in your hands. With courage, with love, and with endless curiosity, keep creating your own masterpiece, because no one, absolutely no one, can paint your soul's story but you.